This Bhagavatam was related by Ved Vyas to Shukadev. And Shukadev related to Parikshit. At that time, Suta Goswami was also sitting and hearing. So later on, Suta Goswami related it to Shaunak and other sages. They are called Shaunakadik Paramahans. So it came from Ved Vyas to Shukadev to Suta Goswami to Shaunakadik, and then Ved Vyas, who is Chiranjeevi, long-lived, he wrote down the whole thing. So he related it, and then it went through so many stages, and then he wrote it down. So it has sometimes Ved Vyas's words, sometimes there's a discussion between Ved Vyas and Shukadev, sometimes between Shukadev and Parikshit, sometimes between Sut and Shaunak. And then they refer to each other's conversation. So we shall maintain the whole perspective. I'll help you keep that clarity as we go through. So having said this little bit, Ved Vyas, now he begins with Sut and Shaunak Adik. So he says that Kali Yuga had begun already, this age of Kali. And in Kali Yuga, inauspiciousness was increasing. Vice was increasing. People's peace was decreasing. So to usher in auspiciousness, these sages, Shaunak, etc., they gathered in the forest of Naimisharanya. And they arranged for a yagya, a long yagya, fire sacrifice to extend many years. So in that yagya, they requested their guru, Sut Maharaj, Sutaji. They said, "O Sutaji, we have many questions. We find people's minds are disturbed. Their lifespans are short. There is strife in the family. People are not finding satisfaction and knowledge and bliss. So we have a few questions we wish to place before you. And we request you, you had the benefit of hearing Shukadev Maharaj. Please clarify our doubts." So they've seated Suta Goswami on the Vyasasana, the speaker's seat. And with all humbleness, they placed their questions before him. So now the Bhagavat's first episode begins. These Shaunakadik are putting 6 questions. So they said, our first question. They had 6 questions. So these questions are penetrating. They are relevant to all of us. They are important for all of us. So their questions were, in this age of Kali, when everybody is so disturbed, restless, agitated, miserable, what is the path to welfare? What is the sadhan for kalyana? First question. Second question. We have different scriptures. We have the Vedas, of which the Upanishads are a part. We have the Itihas, the Ramayana, Mahabharata. We've got different Puranas. We've got the Bhagavad Gita, the Shad Darshan, the Smriti texts, etc. What is the essence of all knowledge? Please inform us. What is the essence of all these scriptural teachings. Third question. Why did the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna Chandra descend in this world? Why did his avatar take place upon our earth planet? Fourth question. If he did take an avatar, what were his leelas or divine pastimes? Please relate them to us. See, in those days, the communication channels were limited. So they could not just go onto YouTube and see it all like us people. So what did Sri Krishna do when he came into this earth planet? Tell us his leelas. Fifth question. What were the other avatars of God on our earth planet? And their leelas, relate that as well. And last question. Now that the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna has wound up his pastimes and the avatar is no longer present on the earth planet, where has Dharma taken shelter? Where does Dharma reside now? So, Sutaji was delighted upon hearing those questions asked by Shaunak and other sages. So Sutaji answers these questions. First he offers, in the second chapter of the first canto, he begins by offering his respects to his guru, Shukadev. And then he starts answering. So he says, Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktiradhokshaje ahaitukya vyavahitaya yatma samprasidati. Listen, Shaunak and other sages, there is nothing so parokari, nothing so beneficial as doing unalloyed, selfless, pure devotion to God. This is the path of Kalyan. This is the way to welfare, to learn how to deeply and selflessly love God. You see, the message is the same always. Learn how to love God. All the religions are teaching us the same. And the Bhagavatam is like the PhD text on this love for God. So then he answers the second question. What is the essence of knowledge? He says, Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yajnana madvayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. There is one entity, you may call him the supreme, the ultimate, the source from which everything has come. That entity manifests in this world in three ways. One is the all-pervading Brahman, which is worshipped by the Jnanis, the Advaitis. You ask them, who is the Supreme? They'll say, Brahman, that one undifferentiated entity. That same also sits in the hearts of everyone as the Paramatma, the Supreme Soul situated within, noting the karmas, keeping an account, giving the results. That is the Paramatma seated inside. He is the same all-pervading Brahman, localized as the Paramatma. He is worshipped by the yogis who meditate upon the Lord within themselves. And that same supreme entity takes avatar in this world and descends as Bhagavan in his personal form as Sri Ram, Sri Krishna, etc. and displays his loving pastimes. So that Supreme who manifests as Brahma Paramatma Bhagavan, he is the essence of all scriptural knowledge. If you have understood him, you have understood everything. Yena shrutam shrutam bhavatya matam matam avigyatam vigyatam avijanatam vijanatam. On knowing whom nothing else remains to be known, on hearing whom nothing remains to be heard, on attaining whom nothing remains to be attained. Third question. Why did the Lord Shree Krishna descend in this world? Look, Shaunakadik, the pastimes, the leelas of God are purifying to hear. We have got dirt in our heart and mind. When you hear the names of God, the forms of God, the virtues of God, the pastimes of God, descriptions of His abodes and saints, this kind of hearing cleanses the dirt in the heart. Shrinvatam swakatham Krishna punya shravana kirtana ridyantasthoya bhadrani vidhunoti suritsatam. So the Lord descended to reveal such pastimes, by hearing which, by contemplating upon which, by meditating upon which, the souls of the world may be able to cleanse their hearts. And when the hearts are fully cleansed, vidyate hridaya granthis chidyante sarva sanshaya kshiyante chasya karmani drishta evatmanishvare. Then God's grace, that Yogamaya, intervenes and dispels this material bondage of Maya, removes the ignorance of the heart, destroys the karmas of endless lifetimes, and bestows union with God. So to bestow that grace, the Supreme Lord descended. The fourth question, His leelas in the world. This shall come in due course, as the Bhagavad is related, in abundance. Fifth question, what about the other avatars of God? So he says, look, God descended in many ways and performed various pastimes. So he chronicles, this is the famous 24 avatar, the most significant 24. So he goes on to say that the first were the 4 Kumars. They were themselves the Shaktyavesh, empowered avatars of God, Sanak, Sanatan, Sanat, Sanandan. Like I said, we shall be meeting them again in the Bhagavatam. After that came Varaha Bhagavan, when the Lord descended as a divine boar and repositioned the earth and killed Hiranyaksh. Then came the celestial sage Narad, who is also considered an avatar. He is a Shaktya, empowered avatar, who roams the 3 worlds singing the glories of God. And then God came as Nar Narayan Rishi. This Nar Narayan Rishi are residing since then in the upper Himalayas ahead of Badrikashram, and from there they, by their influence, they endeavor to bring auspiciousness in the minds of the people and enlighten them on the true path. The next avatar was Maharshi Kapil, the son of Kardam and Devahuti, who propounded the Sankhya system of philosophy. After that, God came as Dattatreya, and he led the life of an Avadhut, a completely renounced sadhu, and he showed the path for people who are Avadhuts. There are those by their sanskar, they are detached. In India, you find them by the thousands. They renounce their families, household, and go and live in the jungles and forests. They needed direction. So God came as Dattatreya and showed them the path. Then the next avatar was Yagya, the son of Ruchi and Akuti. And he displayed the path of worshipping God through sacrificial ceremonies or yagyas. Then the Lord came as Rishabdev. Rishabdev also led a renounced life. Rishabdev is also worshipped by the Jains of the world. Jainism is a significant religion. So the Jains also worship Rishabdev as their first Tirthankar. They worship 24 and Rishabdev was the first. After that came Prithu Maharaj. Prithu Maharaj made this earth more inhabitable for human beings by working upon it and bringing certain changes. Then, when the Vedas fell into the ocean, the Lord came as Matsya and he retrieved the Vedas and reinstated them. Then, after that, when the churning of the ocean took place, the Samudra Manthan Leela, there were 3 avatars associated with that one pastime. The Lord came as Kurma avatar, the divine tortoise, and he became the base on which the mountain was placed for churning. And later on, he emerged from this ocean as a result of the churning as Dhanvantari, the Lord giving medicines and revealing the path of healing the body. Then after that, he came as Mohini avatar, the woman who enchanted. After that, the Lord came as Nrisingh, the divine lion who protected Prahlad and tore up Hiranyakashipu. He then came as the dwarf, as Vaman, and he took everything from Bali and sent him to Patal Lok. He then came as Parshuram when the Kshatriyas, the administrators, had become too dominant and wavered and eliminated the earth from these evil Kshatriyas. After that, he came as Ved Vyas to compile the scriptures. He then descended as Ram, Maryada Purushottam, who established the proper code of conduct by following it himself and showing it in his life as an ideal human being. After that, the Lord came as Balaram, the elder brother of Krishna. He then came as Krishna and displayed pastimes in which he revealed that God is Bhakta Vatsal. He is enslaved by love, and he emphasized the importance of loving devotion. Then he came as the Buddha. So the Buddha, the founder of Buddhism, he is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam before he comes. And he is worshipped by the Hindus as God. Then, at the end of this age of Kali, he is going to come as Kalki. And he is going to finish off the evil people and usher in back the Satyuga, the age of righteousness. So he answers the 5th question, Sutaji. the different avatars of God. And then the last question, after Lord Krishna has wound up his leelas, where has dharma taken shelter? So he says, dharma has now taken shelter in this Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapuran, which has arisen like the sun to illumine this age of Kali. So, having said that, the Shaunakadik sages, they are extremely obliged to receive the answers to their questions.